63 Cup wins, 2 Cup championships, 254 top 5s, combined with his 234 victories in all 3 national series. These are the numbers that will go on to define the legacy of Kyle Busch. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to host an entire retrospective of his career, as cool as that would be. There are better YouTubers for that. I'm sure there are some really good ones out there already because people work fast. So, yeah. I'm here to tell you what this man basically meant to me as a NASCAR fan, specifically one who, under very rare circumstances, even got into NASCAR, and just how crushing this news really has been. This is a way for me to cope as well, I guess. I have no script. I have no water. I have nothing. I'm just sitting here with a microphone and kind of reminiscing because this genuinely hit hard. It's about 15-ish hours after the news broke that I'm recording this. And, the initial emotional reaction seems to luckily have faded, but even just talking here is very difficult for me. So, let's just get into it. So, just like many a child, I saw the Pixar Cars movie in the 2000s. I was 2 or something when it came out, but obviously I watched it later. Not much later, but later. And it made me fall in love with cars and racing. And, all that together with, like, Top Gear and stuff. And that's how I got into racing. And, well, as a Dutch person, the racing that you get into at that age is Formula 1, obviously. But still, something was kind of elusive about the racing that I saw in the Cars movie, because that wasn't Formula 1. I didn't know what that was. It might have well been made up for that movie. Until we'll start with, I believe it's Top Gear, I think, that introduced me to the sport of NASCAR. There was a special where Richard Hammond went to drive the pace car or something, and that kind of put the name in my head, and I started searching for stuff related to NASCAR online. I started watching YouTube videos, and in specific, I started watching stop motions. And, well, the big one, obviously, the Double E Cup Series is where I first started learning, like, driver names and stuff. And as a child on the internet, the first car that ever stood out was the bright yellow M&M's car, the number 18 Toyota. And, well, yeah, I thought it was the coolest car ever. I thought it looked insane and whatnot. I was really, it was so cool. So I started rooting for that car in the stop motion races, and that's when I first learned the name Kyle Busch. I started watching more and more content. Think of the NASCAR parodies, also by Eric Easted. Think about a lot of that stuff. And, well, Kyle obviously got a personality in that, and he was kind of the arrogant, bit of an asshole, but very successful. And I really liked that attitude. I really liked, that's what I liked about NASCAR in the first place, or, well, the idea of NASCAR that I had created in my head was you can bump around, you can show that you're the best. And coupled with the M&M's car, coupled with that I just like the Toyotas. And, well, he quickly rose to being my favorite driver before I ever watched a race. In 2016, I figured out how to watch races not on TV, but online. And that was really when my life kind of turned around. And that's when I saw, my big hero, or, well, the hero I had created in my head, Kyle Busch, really drive. And, was a good season for him. He won 4 races. I didn't watch all of it, obviously, and he went on a. But yeah, that really made me think I made the right choice, because this guy, he's fast. And across then 2017, he won a lot of races. In 2017, me and another kid from the neighborhood who gone through a somewhat similar story. He had discovered NASCAR through cars as well. He became a Kurt Busch fan, and we had this kind of rivalry going on. That was really fun. Kyle's the better. No, Kurt's the better one. It was really, we really had a lot of fun with that. I always respected Kurt as well, of course. He wasn't the enemy, but it was really fun with that kid. Just the way we laughed about that. Yeah. So we did that, and Kyle, once again, great season. That beautiful M&M's caramel car. I knew I had found the guy, and his attitude, obviously, not maybe the attitude you want to display to your boss or whatever, but I didn't care, and I still don't. It was just so amazing to watch a character like that, on screen, and to watch him win and to watch him be cool. He was the coolest guy ever to me, and still is to a degree. That era of Kyle Busch still is one of the coolest people ever to me. Yeah, 2017 was also when I found out about the 2015 championship. I genuinely missed that. I don't know how. What didn't help was during this time I didn't really watch races in full because of time zone differences and whatnot, and I couldn't watch every race. I was still pretty young, so I couldn't just stay up all night. Now I've ruined my sleep schedule enough for it, but yeah, at the time that was simply not a possibility. So, I never heard a commentator say, 2015 NASCAR champion, Kyle Busch going for the win. And I remember finding that out by looking it up. And I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, we've done it. I remember it because I think it was like a day after one of those stupid end of the world prediction days. And me and that friend, we were like, oh, the world's gonna end. As a joke, obviously. And then the next morning, I was like, well, thank God the world didn't end, because I found out Kyle Busch won the championship. I didn't even know that. Obviously, a lot of the media that I was watching was kind of outdated. The NASCAR parodies and stuff were, at the time, largely made before Kyle won his championship. So I was always kind of operating under the idea that he wasn't the champion yet. And then I found that out. I was like, oh my God. Oh, this is amazing. Yeah. And 2018 came and went. Also, a lot of wins. Amazing stuff. I was really heartbroken that Homestead race that he didn't manage to get it. I'm struggling to remember if this was 2018 or 2019, because it's either a success story or not, but I'm afraid it isn't. Is that in 2018... just before the Homestead race went green, I drew an entire picture of like a Kyle Busch winning the championship with like a flag man going and stuff. It wasn't a good drawing, but it was a drawing nonetheless. I really suck at drawing. But yeah, I drew that as like a good luck hope, like, oh, now he's gonna do it. And well, unfortunately, Joey Logano won that one. Can't win them all, I guess. But yeah, no, I just, I was heartbroken. I can't even lie about that. Around this time is also when I started my diecast series, which was never posted about online, but basically I was inspired by all the stop motion creators to have my own series, but well, there's not a lot of NASCAR diecasts in the Netherlands, especially not 1/64 scale. So I just used, a lot of Hot Wheels cars and gave them, the names of the drivers that I wanted to be in the series. It started with like 12, 14. It was really nothing. And still to this day, if you give me those Hot Wheels cars, I can tell you which one is which driver, or at the time at least. Made these giant tracks on the dinner table with like blocks and shit, and then just pretended races. I had a whole rivalry between Kyle Busch and Jimmy Johnson. It was legendary. Kyle was a blue BMW M4 because that was my favorite car at the time, my favorite Hot Wheels car at least. Jimmy was a green Mustang GT500 because I thought it fit him, and it did. And those two cars, man, those were the goats. And yeah, then we went on through 2019. Obviously comes around. By this time, I am a little older. That rivalry I had with that friend didn't really exist as much anymore, unfortunately. But I managed to tune into more and more races. Still rarely saw a finish, I will admit. But the one I think that's why that drawing is 2018, because I think I stayed up for 2019, but it's so long ago now. Am I? Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I stayed up for 2019. Yeah, I did. I really, my brain is a mess right now. It always is, but especially right now. And I watched that 2019 finale, and Kyle was leading, and it was amazing. And I was so happy when I saw that 18 win the championship. I was so happy that I had gotten to see that, after learning that I missed out on the 2015 championship. I was so happy that I got to see my driver win a championship like that. It was an amazing feeling. It really was. I stayed up late. I was watching like on my phone. But yeah, it's then around comes COVID 2020. Not a great year, obviously, for his statistics, but I didn't care. I was just happy seeing him race and being the reigning world champion. 2021, another big memory there is the Kansas race, because he finally won early in the season again. We didn't have to wait until Texas. And he won at Kansas at the race that was named after the beer with his name on it, and on his birthday too. And I remember that was a very similar situation to the 2019 championship. It's unironically one of my favorite Kyle Busch wins, along with the 2018 Coca-Cola 600. Just the dominance of that race. I still love that so much. The 2018 Coca-Cola 600, I replayed that radioactive so much. Even got in trouble for it in class once because I thought I could put it on mute, and then it wasn't on mute, and my teacher looked at me like, "What's that?" I was like, "A notification," and he didn't believe me. Man, but yeah, the Coca-Cola 600, the 2019 championship, and then probably that Kansas race, because everything felt like it was going up again. And yeah, once again, that's a very similar situation to the 2019 finale, where I was lying in bed with my phone. I was like, oh my god, he's actually leading. And then he won that race, and I was ecstatic, man. I was so happy. And yeah, 20 overall, it was a mid-season. Obviously, the next gen rolled around. 2022 was an awful season. And yet, still, I just liked seeing that car around. 2022, 2023 came the the RCR move, and that was the first time I was like really conflicted because I had not seen that coming at all. But I was willing to give it a shot. Around this time, I got my first ever 164 scale diecast. I think that was around this time. May have just been before the next gen, actually. But it was ironically enough a Denny Hamlin car, because the seller that I found them at had no Kyle Busch cars. I was really sad about that, but at least I had a Denny car. But yeah, 2023 goes to RCR, and I was willing to give it a chance. And 2023, by all accounts, pretty decent season for Richard Childress Racing. He was doing better than 2022 at least, with the exception for the playoffs, obviously. But still, I was just happy that he could still win multiple races a year. It was the most races he had won since like 2019. I was like, wow, he still got it. And then 2024, 2025 were very rough in that regard, because no wins. You can see his enjoyment of it was very much fading, and I tried to stay relatively positive, because I usually am somewhat positive. But yeah, it was not good. I was not happy with how he was, basically how he was feeling. Yeah, he did have some good results, but it was all around just really nothing. And then we came to 20. Well, let's go back to 2025 for a second, because I started feeling, Kyle Busch might be retiring soon in 25. And I started looking for other drivers to support. I ended up at Chase Briscoe. Not because he particularly has many Kyle-like qualities, maybe because he's very much the opposite. Although, obviously, he does have his frustrations and his anger. But maybe because he was a Joe Gibbs driver who wasn't that much like Kyle, I was like, yeah, I can support him. He's my favorite. Or he's my future favorite. He's ready when Kyle does eventually retire, which I was honestly setting for end of 2027. Briscoe obviously went on to have quite a good 2025. And we going into 2026, I kind of had both of them as my co-favorites. And 2026, obviously rough start. And I'm really sorry to say I was starting to focus more and more on Briscoe. As in, he has to, let's see how my future is doing. Wasn't really appreciative enough of how my current was doing, how my current times were. But yeah, eventually, Andy Street joined the 8 crew and seemed to genuinely be making a difference, because he was suddenly running a lot better. And, I was really, really quite hopeful after that. I watched the truck race at Dover, watched him win. I watched I watched the final part of the truck race. Watched him win his final race, didn't even bother to stay around for the interview. I never really do that for the lower series races. Man, and looking back at the footage of that interview now, that was very haunting to see him say that, like, you never know when your last win is. I watched him win that race. I watched the first segment of the All-Star race, but I got very, very frustrated with the format and made the decision not to watch the final segment of that race, and fuck, man. If I could go back and tell myself, hey, you bastard, watch those final damn laps, I would, because some part of me is now always gonna live with the fact that my childhood hero, starting from, seeing model versions of his M&M's car, that I didn't get to watch his final laps as a driver, even though the camera may not have even been on him, but I didn't get to see it, didn't even get the chance. And that's it. I only got myself to blame for that one, and that really fucked with me. You never know when it's your last, as Kyle said, but I didn't fucking think the 2016, the 2026 All-Star race would be it. First day we learned obviously about the hospitalization. There were some stories going on that he didn't feel too well, but the hospitalization did really make me worry. But I was like, he'll make it through, he's tough. And then mere hours later, it felt like, I think it was actually, hours later, we learned that he passed away, and I couldn't believe it. I genuinely couldn't. I still, saying these words is almost difficult for me, because I cannot believe what I am saying, and that what I'm saying are real events that happened, but I suppose they are. I was making my bed, actually. It was really stupid. I did it while half in fucking tears. And then, it was midnight to 1 a.m., that area about. And at night, I just got in my car, drove away. Drove across this road that we have here in the area that's very, there's no speed cameras, and it's very remote, so people drive fast there all the time. And quite honestly, for a while there, I just put the pedal to the floor while listening to sad songs. It sounds so fucking emo or something when I look back at it, but that's what I did. I stopped at an area where there's what's the word? Is ferry? A boat that transports cars from one side of the river to the other. And I stopped there, parked my car, and just went for a little walk, because there's a little nature area. And just listened to, the birds sing, the water rushing. And I just had to come to peace with everything. And that was really hard. And drive back home, I was luckily a little bit calmer. And I sat there and I just watched a bunch of those every Kyle Busch win in this year videos. And I couldn't, man. I really, really couldn't. If you were, I don't think I'm making a lot of sense right now as I'm saying this, but if you had asked me at that point to explain anything to you, I wouldn't have been able to. I was a fucking wreck. That's the only way of properly saying it. I went after that. I just sat on the couch and cried. That's what I did. I'm not ashamed to admit it either. It was genuinely. It is still a very difficult thing to accept, that at a time especially, it's difficult to hear. After that I've been deciding to just kinda, I don't know if distracting myself is the right word, but I went upstairs, I went and listened to some music with some friends that really cheered me up. Just, these friends, they're not into racing at all. And that really did help to just have, have these people, these outsiders there that don't really know what's going on, and you can just laugh with them while talking about music and whatnot. It was really the best thing I could have done to at least somewhat keep me sane before going to bed. I slept really badly. I can't even lie about that. It was not good. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I woke up. I've been keeping myself busy all day today. Basically, I went to some stores, fueled my car up. I did all these things, and just to distract my mind. And I'm only now really coming to peace with it, I guess. But yeah, this video is really helping, and I hope this video helps someone else out there a little too. Help you look back at the fun memories that you had because of this amazing man, and helps you kind of deal with it by seeing someone else go through it. The worst emotion is, well, as I said, luckily over, but there's still just that bleakness, that sadness in my brain. It's not particularly well. I don't know. But if you did stick around this long, because this recording session's been going on for like 27 minutes now. Holy shit! I'll probably make a few minor cuts, but this will go up largely raw, for lack of a better term. I don't know, but yeah. One aspect I did forget. Last year I did finally get my first 1 in 64 scale Kyle Busch car. Was of his last win with Joe Gibbs Racing, the Bristol Dirt car, and I grabbed that in my hand. I just couldn't believe it. That the guy whose name was on that windshield of that car was no longer here. It's really been shitty. But yeah, this is completely different from my usual bullshit. I know regular stuff will resume, but I had to get this off my chest. So if you did stick around, thank you so much. I hope you are also getting through this. And I'll see you. I just hit my microphone. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.